This is a follow-up to the common OPC UA nodes to monitor video. We've talked a whole lot about the Access MyMachine OPC UA Server, which allows you to monitor all kinds of different signals from numeric controlled machine tools, but we haven't talked a whole lot yet about the other OPC UA Server products that Siemens has that allow you to connect to your numeric controlled machine tools and get really good data out of them. So one of those products that we have yet to talk a lot about is the Legacy OPC UA Server. This is great for anybody that has a numeric 840D system and perhaps does not have CNC Software 4.5 Service Pack 4. In that case, there's a very good chance that you will be able to run this Legacy OPC UA product in order to get data out of your machine and improve your process. So today, I'm going to walk you through how a specific server is configured. This server is running on a Windows 7 PCU, and we are connecting with numeric operate. So first, I'm going to step through where in the file system the OPC UA Legacy Server is configured. So first, we go to the C drive, then to Program Files 86, followed by Siemens, next Motion Control, then OEM, numeric, HMI, and then finally OPC UA Legacy. So not all of you are going to have this folder. Reason being is that by default, the OPC UA Legacy Server is not commissioned. So if you haven't already commissioned it, you probably won't see this folder. Don't worry, we'll have another video that demonstrates how to configure it for the first time. But for those of you that do have it and need to set it up, maybe you don't know how to configure which nodes you want to monitor, you're in the right place today. We're going to dive into the application folder and then further on down, look at the NodeTreeConfig file. So here I'm opening up a file that was created for this demonstration today. What's special about this file is it allows us to connect to and monitor all the same common nodes that we looked at just a little bit ago in that last video. The difference being is that in this case, we're going to do it with a control that might not have our newest Access MyMachine product. The way that this namespace is created is actually a little bit special because it's been designed to create the same exact node address that you would have with our latest server, even though it's being served up by the legacy server. So why that's important is that if you have the same node ID, there's a really good chance you're going to be able to use the exact same application to connect to either the new Access MyMachine server or our legacy OPC UA server. And I'll show you how that's done, at least on my side, after we get through this demonstration here. So when we look down in the actual configuration area, we can see both folders as well as the variables. Here I have a couple different folders. I have the NCK folder, a channel folder, machine access, state, and program info. And really what I'm doing here is I'm just defining the file path to all of my variables. And you can kind of think of inside UaExpert, all of this address space as a file path. So I have to go, for example, to channel, and then to program info, and then further on down, I might go to my program name. Now, the identifier is going to appear in the attributes window for this node, and what I'm doing in the NodeTreeConfig file is creating folders that will end up generating this same node address, and I have to start with channel, and then I have to go into program info, and then my variable name is going to be that very end of my node ID. So here you can see that it's program name. What I've done on this side, maybe we'll go to the program name configuration just at the bottom, is I have told it that the parent is folder 4. Now folder 4 is program info, but the parent of program info is folder 1, and folder 1 is channel. And because I've named my variable program name brackets U, this is going to generate the same string node ID that I would have in that older server, rather than newer server that we were just looking at, the Access MyMachine server. So the other thing I have to do in my definition that's really important is I have to put the path. So I got the path, as I was just talking about, from my attributes area. That's my identifier. So that this is specifying where to actually get the data in the control. So you could, in theory, put whichever folder names you want. You could name whatever name you want for all these different variables. Maybe you're trying to comply with a different specification, and that's totally fine. In this case, I've done it to match the naming convention. So then the last thing to note in the variable definition is our type. So in this case, it's a string. If we're unsure of the types, we can find those in our attributes window, and you'll see that the data type is string here. Now, everything is red. I've pulled in those same nodes that we were looking at the other day in the video, but my server is not running, so that's why they're red there. I'm going to go ahead and start it up. So the way to start it here is to double click on Numeric Operate to begin our front-end application. And very shortly, this is going to start up. And once it does, we're going to get this prompt that we see here. It says connect error, error bad, certificate hostname invalid. This is fully expected with the OPC UA Legacy product. The documentation for the OPC UA Legacy product is actually here in front of you, and that same error message is listed. While we're here, let me quickly show you page 12, which goes over more information about the object model configuration. So I've explained how I've configured mine to meet the need I have, but if you would like to examine this further on your own, it was a good document, so you'll find out a lot of great information here. But we do expect to see this error. It's no problem, so I ignore that. And now I see that I'm connected up. Everything is black, as we expect. It's important to note that if you are actively modifying your NodeTreeConfig file, like we just were, the actual address space may change. So your child to parent associations could change. If that is the case, what you'll have to do, at least in UaExpert, is disconnect and then reconnect again so that it can browse and give you a new address space that's aligned with your new configuration. So now, once I start browsing, you can see what we've configured here. Now this is really just a subset of our greater Access MyMachine server. So you can see all the different nodes here. We are allowed to monitor up to 100 nodes in the legacy server, and for most applications that should be plenty. You can see, maybe you can remember that the numbers inside of these brackets indicate our machine access IDs. So this was in the last video, but for current, if I'm looking at my access ID 1, I'd have a 1. 2 was for my y-axis, so I've populated this all, putting in 2s there, as you can see. And I do have some loads coming through, just like we did the last time. I'll go ahead and run the program so we can see that it's still working. So now we are running the OPC UA Legacy Server with the same program on the same control, but we can see that the values are still tracking as we expect. So all this is working. Now what I want to demonstrate next is this alignment that exists between our Access MyMachine server and the legacy server. Now if I come in and start to browse my Access MyMachine server, I can go in to Numeric channel, program info, perhaps, followed by program name. And I'm going to notice that my node ID here for program name actually matches what we see for the legacy server that was created in the NodeTreeConfig file. So if I want, I can demonstrate that again. Here, I'm going to pick the Access MyMachine server, and I'm going to make a custom node pointed to channel, program info, program name, and then U1 for channel 1. And when I hit OK, I see that on my other system, I have widget activated as my part program. But on the machine we just ran, we had the Y-run program. The node IDs are identical, which is what we wanted to see. So everything there is looking pretty good. We have good reason to believe that we'll be able to run the same OPC UA Client application on both the legacy server and the real because of that. But just to prove it one step further, I've gone ahead and created a simple Python client here. So in this case, we're going to connect to an OPC UA server that's being broadcast from IP address 192.168.21.1. This is the Access MyMachine server. So if I go and I run this code, I'm going to see in just a moment the output, and I can see that I am connected to the Access MyMachine OPC UA server, and it correctly reported that my active program is widget. Now let's see if we can use the same node ID here and the same code to connect to the legacy server. So in this case, my legacy server is on 192.168.214.13. So I'm going to go ahead and run. And now in my idle window, I see a little bit more. I can tell that I've connected to the legacy server rather than the new server, and I'm still able to read the part program using the exact same code that I had for the Access MyMachine server. I hope this video was helpful. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you again.